Tonight, the U.S. election, 48 hours until the moment of truth. Can the underdog turn it around?
Never give up. We never quit.
Can the frontrunner seal the deal?
All of us have work to do.
CTV covers the states that could tip the balance. Was it murder imitating art?
The movie was about chopping up his body parts.
The movie maker police allege turned a slasher film into reality. And formula for success.
Hamilton's back in position again.
He started in go-karts. Now Lewis Hamilton is on top of the racing world.
CTV National News with Sandy Ronaldo.
Good evening. The messages from the battling U.S. presidential candidates to their supporters were short and to the point today. Don't let up, said Democrat Barack Obama, who is leading in the polls. Don't give up, said Republican John McCain, who claims he's closing the gap as the campaign enters its whirlwind final stages. CTV's reporters are on the ground in strategic locations. Joy Malbon is standing by in McCain's home state of Arizona. National Affairs correspondent Lisa LaFlamme is in Cleveland to cover the key battleground of Ohio. And we begin our coverage with CTV's Washington bureau chief Tom Clark, who's on Obama's turf in Chicago. Tom?
Well, Sandy, in this campaign that has been just too close to call since the summer, in these final few days, the polls all seem to agree on a verdict.
John McCain was in Pennsylvania today, defying the polls and defying the odds.
We've been a few points down, but we're coming back, and the Mac is back, my friend.
This is a traditionally Democratic state that tonight shows Obama leading by 4 points. If McCain loses here, it's hard to see a path to win the election. And so his run for the White House starts or ends right here.
And it's going to begin here in the state of Pennsylvania, the heartland of America. Thank you.
I want my dream back.
In another part of the heartland,
I want my America back.
Bruce Springsteen opened for Obama in front of 80,000 people in Cleveland, Ohio.
Ohio, I've got 2 words for you. 2 days. 2 days.
Obama is on the attack, trying to take Ohio back from the Republicans and having fun doing it. Taking a jab at Vice President Dick Cheney, who yesterday said he was delighted to endorse John McCain.
You've never seen Dick Cheney delighted before, but he is. That's kind of hard to picture.
McCain showed that he could provide some laughs too, appearing last night on Saturday Night Live and taking a shot at his own campaign strategies.
And here's another bad one. It's called the sad grandpa. That's where I get on TV and go, come on, Obama's going to have plenty of chances to be president. It's my turn. Vote for me.
John McCain was funny yesterday on Saturday Night Live. But that's part of what our politics should be about, being able to laugh at each other, but also laugh at ourselves.
But it's a little early for a lot of laughter just yet. There are still almost 2 days left in this campaign, and despite what the polls are saying, neither candidate is willing yet to either accept victory or concede defeat. Sandy?
For sure, Tom. So why is Barack Obama ahead at this point?
In one word, the economy. When this campaign about a month ago became about the economy because of the economic crisis, you saw Obama establish a pretty consistent 7 to 8 point lead nationally. And that hasn't changed at all. You know, there is a rule of American politics, with exceptions, of course, but the rule says that when the issue is the economy, the Democrats win. When the issue is national security, the Republicans win. Well, this became all about the economy, and that's why Obama has the lead.
All right, an uphill battle for John McCain. Is there anything he can do to turn it around?
Well, in this campaign, you never say never, Sandy. I mean, strange things have happened. But, boy, it's a tough road for him. His route to victory is so narrow, having to achieve so many improbable things in the next 48 hours, it seems unlikely. And even if there was a major turnaround, it's probably too close to Election Day to make much of a difference. What he may do, though, is stop Obama from achieving over 50% in the polls, because McCain is coming on a little bit more strongly now than he was even a couple of weeks ago. So that may hold back the Obama victory below what Obama wants it to be. But as I said, I'd be crazy to tell you that I know the outcome of this election.
Wise decision, Tom. Thanks. So Washington Bureau Chief Tom Clark in Chicago. As an example of just how tough a battle it is for John McCain, he's in danger of losing in his own backyard, Arizona, which he's represented in the Senate for more than 2 decades. CTV's Joy Malbon is in Phoenix tonight to report on the changes in the voting pattern. Joy?
Sandy, it's high noon here in Arizona with Senator John McCain's home state in play. The new West is looking a little like the Wild West, the new kid Barack Obama gunning for John McCain in his own backyard.
It's a statistical dead heat. Yep, it means either one of them could win.
For 25 years, this was McCain country, an easy victory for the senator where he never really had to show up.
Stand up, stand up, stand up and fight. America is worth fighting for. Nothing is inevitable here. We never give up. We never quit.
Not inevitable, but vulnerable.
Hey, my name's Emmanuel.
Driven by a new reality in the Old West and a new voting bloc.
Republicans have been the ones that have now been really anti-immigrant. And McCain, not to say that he's anti-immigrant, because he's, you know, as far as I know, he's always been on our side, but he gave in to that whole Republican, that more conservative side.
This Latino Get Out the Vote group is targeting 42,000 Hispanic households who suddenly could make a difference.
As we knock on doors, people are saying, you know what, this time I'm going to be voting for the negrito. This time I'm going to be voting for the black guy.
And almost 2-to-1 Arizonans believe Republicans are responsible for the economic meltdown. No one here can remember when Democrats were so competitive.
I don't think it's cocky. I think it's a recognition that this state is very much in play.
And playing on Arizona airwaves for the first time, Obama ads.
A leader will bring us together.
They're running ads in Arizona.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Well, that's great. You know why? Because the dollar they spend here in Arizona is a dollar they're not spending in a battleground state.
Arizona, a new frontier for Democrats, but when the dust settles, this is still going to be a fight to the finish. John McCain's best chance at a comeback rests on voter turnout. Sandy?
Joy, let's talk about that voter turnout. What is it expected to be? And we should also discuss the impact of early voting as well.
Well, Sandy, early voting has changed the game. Here in Arizona last Friday, people waited in line for 6 hours, and they weren't leaving that line until they voted. And pollsters are now predicting that Arizona could have one of the highest voter turnout in its history, as high as 85%. Republicans, on the other hand, are banking on the undecided vote, anywhere from 4 to 9%. And they're working the phones, they're working the streets, trying to get people to change their minds. And they're living by a motto that John McCain once said, and it's plastered up on their headquarters. And it says that the Vietnamese kept me awake for 10 straight days, so don't talk to me about being tired.
Thanks, Joy. CTV Joy Malbon in Phoenix, Arizona. What may tip the balance in some key states is the excitement about one historic possibility, that the United States, which long ago declared that all men are created equal, may be about to elect its first black president. CTV's national affairs correspondent Lisa Laflamme has tapped into that kind of buzz in Cleveland, Ohio. Lisa?
Sandy, it's in swing states like Ohio where U.S. elections are won and lost. Obama supporters feel this time history is within their grasp.
And I believe in promised land.
The fabled lyrics of Bruce Springsteen wafted over a crowd of thousands at this Obama rally. But it's the real-life parable playing out in the inner city, condemned houses and defunct businesses where this election is making real noise.
And don't forget, if you haven't voted, go and vote today.
In this gritty ground war, low-tech messaging could put a black man in the White House. Did you ever think in your life?
No, I never thought it. It never came into my consciousness whatsoever. So I can't say, you know, I dreamed of this because I knew someday it would happen, because I didn't.
People here don't have much but faith to fall back on.
I tell you, he's an on-time God.
In every neighborhood church, the sermon was the same.
Even when we didn't have the right president, we always had the right God.
The Reverend David Cobb Jr. didn't endorse a candidate, but encouraged his congregation to vote early, moving the service to a rented bus for a trip to the polling station.
Don't you let nobody turn you around.
Part revival, part revolution. He called it a 10-minute ride down Freedom Road. The intense push for early voting here materialized into a 3-hour lineup.
Based off of the things that our forefathers went through as far as being rocks thrown at or eggs thrown at, whatever it may be. So like if they can go through that like endure that, we can stand in line for a couple hours.
Across town, another lineup, another Sunday obligation, a Cleveland Browns tailgate party where fans put the swing in swing state.
And I'm a veteran, so McCain probably would be better for me. But I don't make a lot of money, so who knows? I don't know.
Among the decided in the Buckeye State, football and politics are one and the same.
I mean, it's a constant battle. I mean, you know, it's good against evil, depending on what your team is. I mean, so how do you...
Your team's McCain?
Yeah, it is.
The Browns ended up losing a close-fought battle. For the one playing out in the political arena, the stakes are much higher. Targeting voters on the sidelines could make all the difference. Sandy.
Lisa, tell us why Ohio is so important.
Well, it is such a pure toss-up state, Sandy, always right down to the end. No Republican has ever won the White House without winning Ohio, so the path to victory for McCain could still go through this state. He's only 3 points behind in some polls. In 2004, Bush won this state by about 100,000 votes. In fact, Springsteen performed just like tonight for John Kerry. They lost that election. He said tonight, I hope I didn't jinx it again for Obama. So once again, anything could happen here in Ohio.
So true. Thank you, Lisa. National Affairs correspondent Lisa Laflamme. We will have extensive coverage of the U.S. election Tuesday night right here on CTV National News. When we return, the filmmaker and the plot for a diabolical murder mystery. Now he's charged with murder in a scenario that sounds like the storyline of his own movie.
A message from the Government of Canada. A message from the Government of Canada.
That's safe. Wow.
Get what you really want in a 2009 Ford Escape. To build and price your own, visit Ford.ca.
Take your dream holiday for less than you thought you'd pay. The best price online today. SellOffVacations.com. SellOffVacations.com.
Winter I love. Winter driving. Take last week. I was driving with my family, and when I tried to stop, well, I didn't. I went to Canadian Tire and picked up a set of Goodyear Nordic winter tires. They stop around 60 feet shorter on ice than all-season tires, and they keep gripping at minus 35. You gotta love winter.
Goodyear Nordic winter tires, only at Canadian Tire.
Take your dream holiday for less than you thought you'd pay. The best price online today. SellOffVacations.com. SellOffVacations.com.
An accused killer will appear in an Edmonton court tomorrow in a bizarre case that sounds like something right out of the movies, and it may have been. The suspect is a filmmaker, and police say the alleged murder follows one of his scripts almost to the letter. And while they haven't found a body, they say they found enough evidence to charge the accused with first-degree murder. CTV's Scott Roberts has the disturbing details.
This is the alleged murder site, a garage where police say a slasher screenplay became reality. Now neighbors believe they may have heard some of the plot unfold.
Yes, I would hear sawing. Sometimes I would walk by and I actually saw like a table saw.
Edmonton filmmaker Mark Twitchell has been charged in the death of 38-year-old Johnny Altinger, missing since early October. Investigators say the murder followed the exact storyline of a movie the suspect filmed here last month, right down to a hockey mask used in the slaying.
The movie was about luring a male from a dating internet site and basically killing the male in the garage and chopping up his body parts and getting rid of the body.
Altinger went missing after setting up a date over the internet with someone he thought was a woman. Days later, friends received an email from the victim's account. I've met an extraordinary woman named Jen who has offered to take me on a nice, long tropical vacation, an excerpt reads. I won't be back in town until December 10th. Friends knew Altinger didn't write it.
If he meets a girl online, he'll chat with her and get to know her and stuff. But I didn't think he'd be that naive.
Investigators believe the alleged killer was inspired by TV character Dexter Morgan, a fictional serial killer who dismembers bodies.
I've been waiting a long time for this.
Twitchell recently wrote about a vague plot on his Facebook page, saying he was set to evil. CTV News has also learned this stun gun purchased over the internet was recently shipped to his home in St. Albert. Meantime, those who know Twitchell say they never saw it coming.
I was very shocked, just like anybody, I think, that came in contact with Mark. He was friendly and very polite and a very driven young man.
Altinger's friends also say his home was broken into just days after he went missing. The only thing stolen, his laptop. Twitchell first appears in court tomorrow. Scott Roberts, CTV News, Edmonton.
Disturbing scene has been unfolding in Long Beach, California. Police responding to an anonymous call this morning found the bodies of 5 homeless people. They were discovered in a makeshift encampment between industrial buildings and a freeway ramp. Police say the victims, all adults, had been shot. In other news, it has been a sad day at the Calgary Zoo. A 15-month-old baby elephant has died just one day after being diagnosed with elephant herpes virus, a condition which is almost always fatal. Zookeepers raised the animal, called Malty, since her mother rejected her at birth. In the past few years, a string of animals has died at the zoo, including more than 40 stingrays and several gorillas. And the life of a Canadian war hero was celebrated at a special service at Ottawa Airport today. Charlie Fox was a double recipient of the Distinguished Flying Cross and seen by many as changing the course of the Second World War. It happened when he shot and hit the staff car of German Field Marshal Erwin Rommel in 1944. The Spitfire pilot, dubbed the Flying Fox, injured Hitler's top commander at a critical time during the invasion of Normandy in northern France.
Sought out that type of recognition because to him that was just part of doing what he was supposed to do.
Fox died in a car crash 2 weeks ago at the age of 88. A series of powerful explosions rocked Kandahar City today, but rather than causing death or injury, these blasts were meant to prevent them. Canadian forces detonated more than 100 improvised explosive devices collected over the last 2 months. They included lethal leftovers from the war with the Soviets, as well as fertilizer bombs in plastic containers. The military says Afghan civilians are turning in many of the bombs themselves. We will be back shortly with more news of this Sunday, but first, for some of you, a preview of what's coming up in local news.
I'm Kevin Armstrong. An Edmonton community is keeping a close eye on a play structure after a toxic substance injured a young child. Plus, for the second time in as many days, police are investigating a fatal tanker truck crash. See you at 11:30.
This program is brought to you in part by Business Banking at Canada's Credit Unions. It's who you know.
We all get to those life changes, and the point I was at was, if I'm going to continue to kill myself, I'm going to do it for me. If you're dealing with a financial institution that has never walked into your place of business, you're dealing with the wrong person.
At credit unions, partnership is more than talk. It's a consistent relationship, it's personal. If you haven't discovered business banking like this, meet business owners who have. Business Banking at Canada's Credit Unions. It's who you know.
When it comes to versatility, some tools don't cut it. But now there's a tool that cuts almost anything just like that. The Benchmark Anvil Cut. Only at Home Hardware and Home Hardware Building Center. The anvil cuts industrial steel blades snap through rubber, plastic pipe, vinyl tile, and much more. It's also a great utility knife. The Benchmark Anvil Cut. It's a cut above.
Homeowners, helping homeowners.
Only at Home Hardware.
Something smells good.
Yeah, it's mushroom soup from Tim Hortons.
I'll have to get some. Why eating your soup like that?
Proper etiquette?
For eating soup.
Well, when it's made with 3 kinds of mushrooms and it's this good, then yes, it's a little thing called being refined.
Yeah, and that's a little thing called an oil rag.
With shiitake, porcini, and button mushrooms, it's Tim Hortons Creamy Field Mushroom Soup, just $2.59.
Always fresh, always Tim Hortons.
This bag could cause a disease outbreak. This bag could destroy crops and livestock. This bag could lead to a fine or prosecution. This bag could be yours. Be aware of our import laws and do your part. Declare all foreign food, plants, animals, and related products when entering Canada. Visit online or call to learn more. A message from the Government of Canada.
Closed captioning of this program is brought to you in part by Cialis. Ask your doctor if Cialis is right for you.
She grew up hunting in the north, takes her baby to work, and is a relative unknown on the national political scene. No, we're not talking about Sarah Palin, but Leona Agluka. She was handpicked by Prime Minister Stephen Harper last week to become the first Inuit Canadian in cabinet. But who is the new health minister? Agluka sat down with CTV's Question Period today for her first national interview. CTV's Roger Smith has the exclusive details.
After 20 years in government, including 4 as Nunavut's Minister of Finance and Health, Leona Agluka knew she had a good shot at cabinet, but didn't expect such a big job.
So I knew that background would be considered. But when I was asked to consider the appointment of health minister, I was surprised.
Shielded from the media since her appointment, she made her debut on CTV's Question Period, talking about her unique background.
Certainly we go hunting for caribou, polar bears, and seals, and go fishing, and that's continued to be practiced today.
Born in Inuvik, Agluka was adopted a week later and grew up in Arctic outposts like Tom Bay and Joe Haven. Now 41, she's married to a so-called Southerner from Cape Breton and has a 4-month-old son named Cooper.
I brought him to work, and he was at work with me 3 days after he was born.
All that makes her a symbol of Tory attempts to reach out to the North, to Aboriginals, even young families. And it invites comparisons with another hunting mom, plucked from the North to put a new face on a political party.
You see some comparisons between yourself and Sarah Palin?
Well, some people are comparing. I certainly was doing this long before she was even declared a candidate, so...
But perhaps fearful of stumbling like Palin, she's not talking yet about policy. The Harper government has tried to avoid squabbling over health care by insisting it's mainly a provincial responsibility. The appointment of Agluka may signal a focus on what clearly is a federal job, dealing with the health care crisis among Aboriginals. Roger Smith, CTV News, Ottawa.
We turn now to the story of a brave and determined little girl from the Hamilton area of southern Ontario who got some very bad news last spring but refused to accept defeat.
Okay. So remember, go out there, have fun. All right? Okay. Play hard. Okay. If you get tired, sit on the bench. Okay, don't
With some coaching from Dad, 10-year-old Kayla Gardner heads out on the ice once more to play the game she loves. 7 months ago, Kayla was diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumor that left her partially blind. But after chemotherapy and radiation treatment, the tumor was gone. Kayla's sight was restored and she was back in the game.
It's a good moment for us.
Kayla's personal victory was followed by a 4-1 win for her team and high fives all around for the comeback kid. When we return, in the fast lane to a billion-dollar fortune, the driver who's changing the face of Formula One car racing. That is next on CTV National News.
Mix it up with all brand buds. 48% of the recommended daily fiber comes from just a third of a cup. All brand buds. Mix it up.
Keep the memory alive. The Royal Canadian Mint presents the circulation coin in honor of war veterans. Keep it and remember.
Mix it up with all brand buds. 48% of the recommended daily fiber comes from just a third of a cup. All brand buds. Mix it up.
Help your kids brush their teeth better with new Listerine Aging Cool Blue. Used before brushing, it turns plaque blue so it's easier to see, helping them brush more effectively for a cleaner mouth. Make better brushing fun. Try Listerine Aging Cool Blue.
My Sam used to find brushing boring. I found a solution.
Woohoo! Listerine Agent Cool Blue.
It kills bad breath bacteria and turns plaque blue, so he can brush more effectively. Nice work.
What's cool is how they'll love to brush.
Mix it up with all brand buds. 48% of the recommended daily fiber comes from just a third of a cup. All brand buds. Mix it up.
History was made on a racetrack in Brazil today as Lewis Hamilton became the world's youngest and first black Formula One champion. The 23-year-old Briton is now on course to set another record for earnings, expected to top $1 billion. CTV's Genevieve Beauchemin reports.
Oh my goodness me!
It was a remarkable finish. In the final lap, Lewis Hamilton is just seconds from losing his chance at the World Championship. He squeezes by in the final meters and captures 5th place. Just good enough to land the points he needs to make history, to be the first black racer to clinch the ultimate motor racing title.
Guys, I'm speechless. I'm speechless. That was so freaking close.
At just 23, he's also the sport's youngest champion ever. But Hamilton's been tearing up tracks for years.
When I first started watching Formula One, I was about 6 or 7 years old. I thought that there'd be something special.
Lewis Hamilton goes round.
His dad bought him a used go-kart.
But Lewis Hamilton takes the flag.
He went on to collect motorsport titles. The McLaren racing team signed him on as a future prospect when he was just 13. And soon there were comparisons to another black athlete.
People have been saying it for a long time, but I'm not Tiger Woods, I'm Lewis Hamilton.
But like Woods, he is considered a role model.
He's got many, many fans, not just because of his color, but because he is a very exciting driver, first of all. Supremely talented.
The fairy tale story does have detractors. Hamilton has faced racism in nasty website postings, but that hasn't put the brakes on his career. Hamilton came very close to pulling off this feat last season, but lost out in the final race, and it appeared in the final laps as though history would repeat itself. The rain seemed to be the spoiler. In fact, his rival, Felipe Massa, won the race, and for a few seconds his team believed he had landed the championship title too. But Hamilton managed to pick up enough points to win the season. Hamilton's dad was born on the Caribbean island of Grenada. He devoted much of his life to his son's career.
I really can't find any words.
And it was clear he couldn't have been prouder. Genevieve Beauchemin, CTV News, Montreal.
That is our newscast for this Sunday. Thank you for being with us this weekend. I'm Sandy Ronaldo. Lloyd Robertson will be here tomorrow. Have a good night and a safe week ahead. Stay with us now for local CTV News. I'll see you soon.
CTV News, Canada's #1 newscast.